Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can achieve a super dewy, glowy, fresh complexion. You guys see me use a variety of different techniques in all of my makeup tutorials, so I thought why not throw them all into one video to help you guys out, because there is more than one way to create a glow. It doesn't just have to be a powder highlighter. You can create it with your blush, your bronzer, your base, basically any makeup product that you apply to your face you can use to create a glowing complexion. Especially for those of you out there who are more towards the oily side and have always been afraid to have a glowy complexion because you're afraid you'll look even more oily. I'll share some tips in this video to help you guys out. So if you're interested, just keep on watching. Of course, I decided to pop all my pimples before filming this, so hopefully this goes down by the end of the video. I literally just popped all of these. But for the first tip, or the first step, you want to create a glowy base because it'll shine through the makeup. So there are technically 4 different ways that I like to do this. The first way is to use an illuminating moisturizer. The 2 that I'm currently obsessed with are Brighter Days by Tarte. This one has more of a pearly glow, not one that is too gold or pink, or doesn't really have any color. It just has like a really pearlescent glow to it. I really love this as a moisturizer and I've been using it often. Pretty much this is my go-to illuminating moisturizer right now to wear underneath makeup. I absolutely love this one. And then the other one is a classic. This is MAC Strobe Cream in the shade Gold Light. They did recently come out with a few other shades in Strobe Cream, whereas before it used to only be that one color, but my favorite is definitely Gold Light. The second way to create a glowy base is to use an illuminating primer. It's gonna create an all-over glow just like the moisturizer will, but it's also gonna prime your skin, so it's a great one-step option to create an all-over glow versus having to moisturize, then prime, and so on. I have 2 great examples in front of me for an illuminating primer. The first one is by Dior. This is the Glow Maximizer Light Boosting Primer. This one has a gold reflect, so it reminds me a lot of the Gold Light Strobe Cream from MAC. And then the other one is the Tarte Clean Slate Flawless 12-Hour Brightening Primer. This one will really make your makeup last. I really love this one. You guys know I love the NARS Pore Refining Primer, which I will mention in a bit. The next option sort of combines the previous 2 options, and this is gonna be great for those of you who like to customize, like I do. You guys know I like to mix a lot of products together to get whatever effect I want, and usually it takes a variety of products to do that. So for this option, you're going to need your favorite primer and your favorite illuminator, preferably a liquid illuminator, something like the MEEKA Shimmering Skin Perfector Liquid or the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. And then you can use whatever primer it is that you like. And this is why I like this option, because depending on your mood or what you're needing at that moment, you can use whatever primer it is that you like. Maybe you want one that's going to make your makeup last all day. Maybe it's a primer that has an SPF. Maybe it's an anti-aging primer or a hydrating primer. Use whatever primer it is that you like, and all you're gonna do is mix the liquid illuminator into the primer, apply it all over. It's a one-step way to create a glow and also prime your skin. This is also the option that I'm gonna be applying to my skin in just a moment, but I wanna give you guys one last option. I bet you guys didn't realize that there were this many ways to create a glow to your skin, but there is. So this last option is great for those of you who maybe have a little more texture on your skin, acne, and also for someone that is a little more mature. I don't like using that word, I feel like it ages people, but this last option is great because it allows you to be a little more precise where you apply your highlighter versus applying it all over your skin, because as you know, if you have texture, you don't necessarily want to apply it all over because illuminating or highlighting the skin accentuates texture. So this last option requires a cream highlighter. The 2 options I have in front of me are What's Up by Benefit and Master Strobing Stick by Maybelline. And what you do with these is you just apply them to the high points of the face or any area that you want to illuminate. So when working with a cream highlighter, what I like to do is either apply it directly to the high points, or I pick it up on my fingertips and just press it into the high points of the face. So for now, like I mentioned, I'm going to be doing my favorite step, which is mixing my favorite primer with an illuminator. So I'm going to be mixing my NARS Pore Refining Primer with my MEEKA Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Champagne Pop to create an all-over glow and also prime my skin. So I just used the same amount of primer that I would typically use and 1 pump of the illuminator. I'm also going to show you guys how to apply the cream highlighter underneath your foundation, because I figured that might confuse you guys, whereas the illuminating primer and moisturizer, I think we all know how to apply it all over our skin, or at least I hope we all do, you know, just slather your face in it. So I'm gonna use What's Up by Benefit to show you guys how to highlight with a cream highlighter underneath your foundation. If you guys have watched some of my previous videos, you've seen me do this before. So what I like to do is just swipe the highlighter onto the high points of the face. Or like I mentioned, you can also use your fingertips to apply it. And all I do after this is just blend it out with a beauty blender and move on to my foundation. I was gonna apply my foundation off camera, and then I realized you probably want some tips on what foundation is best for a dewy complexion. And it can get tricky if you're more towards the oily side, because the one complaint I hear from those with oily skin is that you can easily look overly greasy and oily. So when it comes to foundation for an oily skin type, I would say pick a foundation that has a natural matte finish or one that is oil controlling. My favorite one has always been Makeup Forever's Ultra HD. This is great for all skin types, but it won't make you look overly matte or overly dewy. It's just like a natural skin finish. And then if you have normal to combo skin or dry skin, you can of course go in with a dewy foundation. My favorite still remains the Kogan Aqua Foundation. It never fails me. It always looks fresh and dewy and luminous. I absolutely love this. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this foundation and concealer, and then I'll be back to share some more tips. Okay, so I applied foundation, and then for concealer, I used the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Honey on the inner corners, and then I used the Dior Skin Star Concealer to highlight. These two concealers also have a really dewy, radiant finish, and concealer can also determine whether your skin will look matte or dewy at the end. A lot of face concealers that you would use to cover up blemishes, something like the Laura Mercier Secret Camouflage Concealer, products like this that are a little more solid have more of that dry matte finish, which is great for covering up problem areas, things like texture and blemishes, because you don't want to illuminate problem areas. So these concealers are great for that, not so great underneath the eyes or for highlighting. So instead, go for more of a dewy, radiant concealer. Normally the ones that come in a tube or are more of a liquid or fluid texture will give you that radiant finish. And again, we're gonna set with powder anyway, but you wanna start dewy and fresh and then powder it down and mattify versus going matte and mattifying it even more. So now I'm gonna go ahead and set. I'm gonna be using the Laura Mercier translucent powder. You can also use your bronzer to create an all-over glow. However, most of us like using matte bronzers. I know I do, because I like to contour and bronze at the same time. So in that case, you would take a shimmery bronzer and just sweep it over the areas that you bronze afterwards. Now that I've applied my matte bronzer, I'm gonna take my super shimmery bronzer. Again, this is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Bronzed Amber. And I'm just gonna lightly sweep it over the same areas where I applied the bronzer minus the hollows of the cheek. So I'm gonna use the same brush that I used to apply the matte bronzer. I'm gonna pick up the shimmery bronzer and then just lightly sweep over the matte bronzer. So you can see I'm just doing quick little sweeps. I'm not really piling on the shimmer bronzer. I just wanna create a really subtle glow over that matte bronzer. And then for the cheeks, I like to go apples of the cheeks back. So now I'm gonna move on to blush, because you can also use your blush to create a glow. You can basically use all of your makeup products to create a glow. You don't have to use all of them at once. I'm just showing you guys the various ways you can create a glow. You don't necessarily have to use all of these products and tips in one makeup look, even though I'm doing it for today's demo. So for blush, you want one that has a shimmer, one that's illuminating. An all-time favorite is NARS's Orgasm. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with it. It's a really popular blush. This one is pretty similar. This is Bella Bellini by Milani. It's a baked powder blush. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this to my cheeks. I'm using that same brush that I used for my bronzer. I know everyone loves Luminoso by Milani, but this color is really pretty too. I feel like I never really hear anyone talk about Bella Bellini. And finally, the number one way to create a glowy complexion is with a powder highlighter. I'm gonna be using Laura Geller's Gilded Honey, one of my favorites, to show you guys how to get the ultimate glow. So first, I'm gonna start by applying it dry. So I'm just gonna apply it to the high points of my face. And I typically use my face highlighter as my brow bone and inner corner highlighter. So what I like to do is apply it to the brow bone and then sweep it up towards the temples. From here, there are two other techniques you can use to further enhance the glow from that same highlighter. The first one is to spritz yourself with a setting spray or a hydrating mist, something like Fix Plus, and right before it's done drying, pick up the highlighter dry on a dry brush and apply just a little more to the high points of the face or anything where you want that added bit of glow. The other option is to spray the brush directly with Fix Plus or the setting spray, pick up the highlighter, and also apply it to the high points of the face. So I'm gonna spritz myself with Laura Geller's Spackle Mist and then add just a pinch more of Gilded Honey. It's almost dry, so I'm gonna go in and add a bit more, and I like to pat it on just in case it's still a little wet. You don't wanna move around your base. So I like to just pat it on to the very high points of the face. I went ahead and tossed on some makeup to conclude this video. Let me know if you guys want to see how I created this eye look using just one eyeshadow. It's been my favorite technique recently. And also let me know if you guys found this video helpful and if you learned something new, because you guys know I love sharing all my tips and tricks with you guys. So let me know if you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to share this video again with your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, everyone you know, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.